Hi everyone, Maxime here from Bataireacht and Historical Fencing faction, and from Antrim. So we are here doing a little video on a subject that's can be very controversial to some. Talking about the grip, and especially the thumb grip. So some of you might be aware that traditionally in Irish stick fighting, in at least most styles that we know of historically, and styles that are still being practiced today, the thumb grip is really the grip of choice. And the thumb grip, I've run into a lot of people over the years telling me like, oh, why do you use this thumb grip? It's not secure enough, you can get disarmed very easily, you could get your thumb smashed, all sort of things people say about this grip. And so I just wanted to make a little video explain a little bit how I think this grip is actually a lot more useful, a lot safer than a lot of people expect it to be. Before recent times, actually, the thumb grip in fighting, and knife fighting, stick fighting, fencing, used to be extremely popular. You see that thought to Allied troops in World War II, World War I, using knives, using sticks even. You see this in Lacan, you see this obviously in Irish stick. And then somewhere in the 70s, 80s, people start switching to other styles, and namely styles that are very big into the hammer grip. So when I'm talking about hammer grip, those that don't know, it's mostly a very square grip with the thumb going across the index, a little bit like, maybe more like when you're doing a fist for punching, right? So a lot of proponents of that type of grip will tell you that this is a lot more secure, that you have less chance of losing your weapon, and if you're using the thumb grip, this is like, gentlemanly fencing. It's good for foil and very precise work, but not for the streets, of course, where you need something more secure. And I'm a bit curious actually about this, because that's really not been our experience using the thumb grip in Irish stick, or even in other style that we do in saber fighting, saber fencing, or even knife fighting. Find the thumb grip to be quite secure. And I think one of the big issues that people have that they might not have considered is the stick that they're using. So I have here two different sizes of stick. This one is a little bit smaller, and I can actually have a much more secure grip. And if I can just touch my fingers here into my palm, I can have a very secure grip with no problem. But a lot of people, when they do stick fighting, they go for something a lot bigger like this. And the issue, what we can see here on my hand, is that I can't quite close those fingers anymore, which creates this weakness, this opening here in my hand. And it could be very easy, even when I'm striking, if this slides a little bit more than it should, the stick could get through that opening, get disarmed, or of course if somebody was just pulling on my stick here, it's a little bit easier to get it away from me. But with a smaller stick like this one, I can close those fingers up, and if somebody tries to grip the stick from me, I can offer a lot more resistance, in theory. But also, people will say, well, thumb grip, it's a lot more useful because the thumb is here, and it's locking everything in place. It's like this safety, this lock. I don't necessarily agree with that, and I'm going to explain to you why. Basically, what the thumb does here is it locks the index and maybe somewhat the middle finger in place by just pushing on it. The problem here is that it only really becomes useful when the stick is pushed to its limit towards the outside, right? So if Calvin pushes my stick outside here, that's when the thumb really becomes useful versus with a thumb grip, right? But the problem is, if I'm already at this point, there's not much I can do to stop the disarm or the control from happening. And I would say it's kind of worse in a way, because your thumb, now being here, has a greater chance to be cut and maybe get broken, luxated. So, versus with the thumb grip, where if it gets to that point, sure I get disarmed, but I still have my thumb in one piece. Now, as I was saying, from here, I honestly the advantage. Now, if it's pushing towards the inside, now there's something that the thumb can do. I think that's really its most useful part when there's a disarm happening, because it does block this way, it does enter into action first when this motion, that motion towards the inside of the hand, is done. But if it's coming towards the back or even towards the front, I think it's actually pretty weak, right? So if Callan pulls the stick forward, not much I can do to stop. If he pushes it towards the back,
Hitting yourself.
not much is done. Now, I put my thumb up. You pull it. Right, you push it. Right? Still not great, but a little bit better than here. And why that is because in this position, I can put a little bit of pressure on the side of my index here, but the thumb is not really doing much more, right? But if it's up here, what happens now is I can put pressure with all my top fingers, like a vice, basically, to hold the stick in. And this blocks these motions with a lot more efficiency, more power even, than this type of grip would, where now it's mostly the bottom fingers that are there to resist, and these fingers can do much to prevent it, right? So that's, to me, a little bit of a strength of the thumb grip when you're attempting to disarm. That people might not see because maybe they're not using sticks that are the proper size for that. There's also other kind of advantages to that grip. One of them is reach. Right? If I have a hammer grip, just like this, and I'm trying to hit Callan, this is the extent of my reach I have here. If I get a thumb grip, suddenly you can see how I can change the angle of my grip, of my stick. That angle makes a huge difference. It's the difference between I'm missing Callan, I'm hitting Callan, right? I could attempt to do this with a hammer grip by bending my wrist, but that's going to make it a little bit dangerous for me in the long run. So by doing this, a lot more reach, a lot easier to extend my stick towards my target. But also, this is also very peculiar to our style. If you have a stick that doesn't have a Merlin, like a ball hand, a knob, this doesn't really matter as much because I don't necessarily need to control where the point of my stick is going. As long as I'm hitting, like if I have a dowel-like stick, it's actually probably better if I hit with the sweet spot, which is a little bit lower into the stick. So it doesn't really matter if I pinpoint where that tip is going, as long as the body of the stick is hitting. But with a shillelagh-like stick, with the striking hand really at the very tip, I definitely want to control where this is going, because if I hit with this section here, it's going to be incredibly less powerful than if I hit with the Merlin. So by extending the thumb on my grip here, I can have a lot more control over what happens And this is why you'll see that in saber fencing, or even more so in foil, épée styles where you need to control the point of your weapon, because by putting the thumb up like this, now I'm helping the index to do a better job at moving the stick around. And you can test it at home if you like. If you have a stick, you try to do circling motion with the thumb up versus with a hammer grip. It's very different. Now with a hammer grip, if I want to do this, I suddenly need to use, again, those bottom fingers, which, when I'm striking, are already busy generating all the power I need from my strike. So they're not there to control where that tip is going. The index can try to do that, but it's alone in that role. It's not going to do a great job. But if I extend the thumb, then suddenly I don't need to be pushing the thumb. It's not generating power. It's there to direct where the stick is going along with the index. So it can do its job properly, and it can target exactly where that Merlin needs to go. And that to me is really the most important thing in this style. If I have a weapon where I have this point that I need to direct, be it a stick, be it an axe, a mace. You see this in Zulu fighting, incidentally. That's there for a reason. They also use axes or nakiris, and very tip-oriented weapons, and you'll see the thumb grip used plenty in that kind of fighting. So just to break it down again, thumb grip, a lot safer against disarms than people expect, as long as you're using the proper size stick for you, but also a lot more useful to gather reach, and a lot more useful to direct the blow where you need to. So that's what I wanted to say about the thumb grip. I hope it makes sense. If you don't agree with what I'm saying, let me know. Otherwise, see you next time. So thanks.